I 27 F think my husband 26M is becoming a homophobe. Everything I do. He says I can do around our son 5 or old because I will make him gay. I 27 F think my husband 26M is becoming a homophobe, and I don't really know how to explain that without sounding dramatic. But I've been sitting with this discomfort for a long time, and tonight was the first time it felt like I couldn't just swallow it and move on. We have a son who is 5 years old. He is a normal little kid, curious, goofy, loud, playful, sometimes clingy, sometimes independent, and honestly the most harmless, pure little person. He is at that age where he copies things he sees, because that is literally how kids learn. He is interested in whatever we Ray doing because we Ray his whole world, and apparently in my husband's mind. That is a dangerous thing because if our son copies anything girly that I do, it will make him gay. I wish that was an exaggeration, but it is not. It is an actual phrase he has said to me multiple times. And what is messing with my head is that it didn't come out of nowhere tonight. I've heard little remarks over the last 3 years. Not constant, not every day, but enough that when I look back, it feels like a pattern. I kept telling myself he was just being stupid, or joking, or repeating something he heard somewhere. But tonight it stopped feeling like a dumb comment and started feeling like a belief he is leaning into. The first time he started with the "you, Ray, going to make our son gay" thing was when our son was about 3. Almost 4. I remember it clearly because it was such a normal moment that somehow got turned into this weird accusation. I was doing my makeup, not some huge glam routine, just basic stuff. Our son was watching me like kids do, standing there, asking questions, fascinated by the brushes and the colors. He kept asking if he could do it too, over and over. Like, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I put it on you? And I wasn't thinking about gender or sexuality or anything like that. I was thinking he is curious, he wants to be involved, he wants to play. So I took out some cheap palettes. Stuff I didn't care about. I let him draw on my face. I didn't teach him where anything goes. I didn't give him a tutorial. I didn't say this is blush, this is eyeliner, do it like this. I literally just let him mess around like it was face paint. He scribbled, he dabbed, he smudged. He got bored pretty quickly, and he laughed at how funny Mom looked. That was the whole experience. 5 minutes of a kid being silly, and then moving on to the next thing. And my husband afterward was like, "You Ray going to make him gay?" I remember freezing for a second, because I genuinely didn't know what to say. It was such a bizarre leap that my brain couldn't even catch up. My first reaction was honestly to assume he was joking, because how else do you take a comment like that? It felt like one of those things you hear from an older relative, like outdated nonsense. So I kind of laughed it off. Like, what are you talking about? Because it didn't feel real enough to argue with. But he wasn't really laughing. He wasn't smiling like it was a joke. It was more like a warning. Like he genuinely believed letting a toddler put makeup on my face was going to somehow permanently influence him. As if being curious about makeup, even as a game, was some slippery slope. And that's the thing that sticks with me. He didn't say, "I am worried he'll get bullied," or "I don't want him wearing makeup to daycare," or anything even remotely grounded. He went straight to gay, like gay is the worst outcome imaginable. Like gay is something you catch if you were exposed to the wrong stuff at the wrong time. At the time, I filed it away as my husband being weird. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to turn a harmless moment with our kid into a giant argument about sexuality. I told myself, he'll get over it. He is just reacting. It is not that deep. But I didn't forget it, because it wasn't just a comment about makeup. It was a comment about how he sees masculinity, about what he thinks is acceptable for our son, about the kind of fear he has around anything that isn't aggressively boy. And the worst part is, once that seed is planted, you start noticing it more. You start hearing a tone behind things. You start bracing for the next time a normal parenting moment gets turned into something ugly and controlling. And that's exactly what happened the second time. The second time was about a year ago. And it was one of those situations that only became a thing because my husband decided it was. I brought back some childhood toys from home. Not because I was trying to make some statement, not because I was trying to influence anybody. Just I was at my parents' house, going through old stuff, and I found some toys that made me feel nostalgic. I thought it would be sweet for my son to play with them. That's it, it was innocent. Among them were My Little Ponies. I didn't even think about it. They were just toys. Plastic little horses with colorful hair. When I was a kid, they were fun. When my son saw them, he was interested not because they were girl toys, but because they were new and colorful and different. Kids like novelty. Kids like bright colors. Kids like small things they can make move around. He started playing with them like he plays with everything. He wasn't sitting there playing ponies in some stereotypical way. He was making them walk around. He was driving them in his toy cars. He was lining them up and moving them like little characters. The same way he does with dinosaurs or action figures or whatever else he has. He also liked sticking them on the fridge. Like magnets, like it was funny to have little horses up there. It was honestly cute, and it felt like one of those small, wholesome moments you're supposed to enjoy as a parent. And then my husband saw it, and immediately it was a problem. He said I needed to keep them away from our son. He said he didn't want me influencing him. That word, influencing, again. Like I was actively trying to shape our child into something my husband was afraid of. Like I was sneaking gay propaganda into the toy box through a bunch of old ponies. I remember feeling this mix of disbelief and irritation. Because it wasn't even about the ponies. It was about the fact that my husband saw a 3-4-year-old boy playing with toys and turned it into a threat. Like masculinity in our home is this fragile glass object that can shatter if our son touches the wrong plastic horse. I tried to explain it then, gently, because I still wasn't trying to blow things up. I was like, he's just playing. They ray toys. He's literally driving them in his cars, but it didn't matter. My husband's reaction wasn't based on what our son was actually doing. It was based on what the ponies represented in his head. That moment stuck with me more than the makeup one, because the makeup one could be dismissed as a silly game. The ponies were a longer thing. They stayed in the house. They became part of our environment. And my husband's reaction made it clear this wasn't just a one-off weird comment, this was a mindset. And it also started bleeding into other things. I noticed how quickly he labeled stuff as girly. How he rolled his eyes when I watched something bright or sparkly or harmless. How he reacted like my interests were embarrassing or annoying. Like anything feminine was automatically shallow or dumb. Not even in a direct way, more like a constant low-level negativity that makes you feel judged for existing. And I am not saying he never lets our son do anything. Our son plays with plenty of boy toys and does plenty of boy stuff. But there's something about the way my husband monitors what's allowed that makes me feel like I am raising a child under surveillance. Like every small decision I make can be turned into a lecture about making him gay. And honestly, it started making me anxious. Not because I believe it because I don tea, but because it's exhausting to feel like you have to defend harmless things all the time. It's exhausting to feel like your partner is constantly looking for reasons to criticize you. So by the time tonight happened, I was already on edge. I didn't even realize how much until I heard myself snap. Tonight was the third time. And it's the one that made me feel genuinely disgusted, like, not just annoyed, but disappointed in my husband as a person. We were at home, normal night, nothing wild. Our son was around doing his own little kid thing, not even fully paying attention to what we were watching the way adults do. I was showing my husband a house renovation that Trixie Mattel drag queen and her husband did. I want to be clear. I watch the episodes at work as background noise, not because I am some huge drag superfan, not because I spend my days watching drag content, but because it was house renovation content and it was entertaining enough to have on while I worked. And I only wanted to show my husband the final house reveal because there were parts of it I genuinely thought he would like. That's literally it. It wasn't about drag. It was about the house. I was excited in that simple way you get when you want to share something with your partner. Like, look at this cool thing, I think you'll appreciate it. I even pointed out specific parts I thought he'd love. I said something like, gay men seriously know how to make a beautiful house. This work is stunning. There is a room I think you would love. It's a music room bar. And his response was immediately negative. He said, yeah, no, they don't know how to renovate. I don't think I would love anything from this. And he laughed. He didn't laugh like it was playful banter. It was that dismissive laugh, the kind that meant to shut down the conversation. Like what I said was stupid, and he didn't even have to consider it. I felt my face get hot because it was such an unnecessary reaction. Like, you can dislike a style, you can say not my taste, you can say I don't like that design. But his reaction didn't sound like an opinion about renovation. It sounded like a reaction to who was doing the renovating. So I said, what, because they re gay? When did you start having a grudge against gay people? And he said something that genuinely made my stomach drop. He said he hung out with them so much, and the way they talk is so unnatural, and he doesn't like hearing it anymore. That sentence, unnatural, was like a slap, because that's not just I don't like this show. That's not just this isn't my vibe. That's a judgment about gay people existing, speaking, being themselves. Like their voices are offensive. Like they were doing something wrong just by sounding like they sound. I was honestly disgusted. And then, on top of that, he noticed our son looking at the TV. Our son wasn't even locked in like an adult. He was just glancing over because something was on, and kids look at screens sometimes. And my husband immediately went, no, you don't need to be looking at this. He doesn't need to see this. That's when I got really mad. Because what exactly was this? A house tour. Literally just a house tour. Trixie walking around showing rooms with her husband. Her drag was in no way provocative or inappropriate. There was no sexual content, no men kissing, no adult themes. It was interior design, a renovation reveal. That's it. It wasn't even a drag performance, just a person in drag showing their home. The fact that my husband treated it like it was automatically inappropriate made my skin crawl. I said, no, I am not doing this. When did you become so homophobic? There is nothing wrong on the TV. And he said, well, you watch this all the time. And I said, no, I don't ever watch this stuff. You always say negative stuff about anything I do. That's girly. That's not how becoming gay works. Him seeing a house tour. And that's where I realized how ridiculous the whole thing had become. Because I literally just learned who Trixie was yesterday. I knew the name, sure, but not who she was. I learned it from watching house remodels on TikTok. So as of yesterday, I watch one drag queeness house reveal, and now our son is doomed. Like, that's the logic. It felt less like my husband was concerned, and more like he was searching for reasons to control what I do. What I watch, what I share, what I enjoy, and how I exist in my own home. Because it's not just this one thing. It's the way he treats anything feminine as suspicious, the way he frames my interests as dangerous, the way he talks like I am some kind of threat to our son's masculinity, and the way he acts like my role as a mother is to constantly censor myself so he can feel comfortable. And that's what made me start thinking this is bigger than a few comments. It's like a mindset that's been growing. And tonight I finally saw it clearly. After tonight, I couldn't stop thinking about how small my world feels when everything I do gets filtered through his fear. Because what am I supposed to do? Never wear makeup around my kid. Never let him touch anything colorful. Never let him play with a toy that isn't aggressively boy. Never watch anything that features a gay person existing happily in public. Never say something positive about gay men. Never show my husband something I find interesting if it happens to involve a queer creator. It's like the rulebook keeps expanding, and I am the one being policed. And what's scary is how quickly he goes from I don't like this to our son can be around this. He doesn't just disagree with me. He turns it into parenting decisions, into rules about what our child is allowed to see and do. And because it's framed as protecting our son, It's harder to call out without him acting like I am the unreasonable one. But in my head, I am thinking, protecting him from what? From being gay? From seeing gay people? From knowing gay people exist? That is what? That is the danger. I am starting to feel like he is just being overbearing and controlling. Like every time I do something that is even slightly girly, he has something negative to say. And it is not just about our son. It is about me too, like, he looks down on anything I like that isn't aligned with his idea of what is acceptable. It is exhausting. It makes me want to shrink. It makes me want to pack up all of my sparkle, everything fun, everything expressive, everything that feels like me just to make him shut up. And I hate that feeling. Because it is not who I am. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to raise our son in a house where feminine is treated like an insult or a threat. I don't want my kid growing up thinking it is shameful to be curious, or to play, or to enjoy things that aren't rigidly gendered. But I also don't know how to handle my husband when he gets like this. It is not like he is screaming. It is not like he is openly ranting. It is these comments that come out like they ray common sense, like it is obvious. Like I am supposed to agree that watching a house tour could make someone gay. And when I push back, he turns it into you watch this all the time, or he doesn't need to see this, or you ray influencing him. It feels like he is trying to make me feel guilty for being myself. So now I am stuck in this place where I am questioning everything. Am I really being inappropriate around my son? Or is my husband's fear so intense that he is trying to control our environment and calling it parenting? Is he becoming homophobic, or has he always been this way and I just didn't see it clearly? Is he trying to control me through our kid? I don't know. I just know tonight felt like a line got crossed and I can't stop thinking about it. And the part that makes me the most sad is that I wanted to show him something I thought he'd genuinely enjoy something about design. Something creative, and it turned into this ugly argument about gay people and making our son gay. It makes me feel like we can't even share normal things anymore without it becoming a fight. I am starting to feel like I am going to lose parts of myself if I keep letting him talk to me like this. And I don't want that, but I also don't want to constantly be at war in my own home. So I don't know. Is he being overbearing and controlling? Or am I really being inappropriate around my son? Because right now, it honestly feels like he is the one turning everything into something dirty and scary. And I don't know how to stop it.